And there's been different ways that civil disobedience has worked. In other countries that didn't have the jurors' rights that we have, or the jury trials, like in India with Gandhi, they would pretty much just go straight to jail. And the whole impact of it was them going to jail. In this country, I think there is a much bigger opportunity that we have because of our jury trial system and the opportunity to have that statement there. There is the power in somebody going to prison, and really when I did this, I thought I would just be like straight to jail, do not pass go, and I didn't realize that there was this much opportunity down the line, and so I thought it would just be about me serving my time and making that statement that way. Since then, I've seen the opportunity with the jury trial that this is a case where if I get acquitted, it's certainly a long shot, but if I got acquitted, it would be a statement where a jury in the most conservative state in the country rules that this kind of bold action to defend against climate change or to stand up to our government is justified. And that would be, I think, pretty groundbreaking and would hopefully inspire a lot of other civil disobedience in its wake. So I think that's a tremendous opportunity. Really, I feel like any way that this trial turns out is going to be a great step forward. Either they send me to prison for a long time and invite the reaction that way, or they acquit me and invite all the follow-up actions after that and kind of give a green light to everyone else. And I think that's part of why the government has delayed this trial so many times. It's been going on for 2 years, and this is the 9th trial date that I've had. And all those delays have been coming from either the prosecutor or the judge. Because I think they realize that any way it turns out, it's going to be bad for them in the public view. And I think that's really the power of civil disobedience.
Here. Okay, I'll be right back. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, so I just wanted to pitch our materials that we have here, because Tim seems to have forgotten. But we have a sign-up sheet here, and then also these are flyers. Oh, sorry. We have a sign-up sheet and flyers about the event leading around Tim's trial, and then also a couple flyers just about our organization. There's one that's working its way over on this side, and I'll pass this one this way, but if you're interested, just make sure that you get it before you do that. Sorry, can I pass this way?
Yeah. Okay, good. Mike, question.
I've been told to ask you which environmental organizations are supporting you, but my question was, so maybe you can answer both, is what's your defense, and are these organizations contributing to a legal team, or are you just saying guilty? What are you going to do with it?
Wait, did everybody hear that?
The question was which organizations have been supporting me, and what's my defense, and are those organizations contributing to that? And as far as my the contributions, I think Greenpeace is the only organization that's actually contributed to my defense. I'm getting a lot of support from Rainforest Action Network. Ashley Anderson and I were just out of their offices last week in California, and they're sending some organizers out here, the Ruckus Society. There's a lot of small groups like Students for a Just and Stable Future and things like that are supporting me. None of the big ones are. I think it's maybe a little too controversial for them. But as far as what my defense is, part of the reason that they haven't contributed much to my defense fund is that I haven't asked for that since like a few weeks after the auction, because there was a lot of just popular support. I mean, I raised enough money for my legal defense within a month or so after the auction, just with donations of like $20 from people all over. And since nothing's really happened in the case, that's still sitting there waiting for a trial. As far as my defense, I'm being charged with 2 felonies. One is violating the Oil and Gas Leasing Act, and one is making false statements. And so the Oil and Gas Leasing Act, what that law says is it just sets up this auction system and says that disrupting an auction for from under this system, a legal option under this is a felony. And so my defense is pretty clear that I didn't disrupt a legal auction because a legal auction wasn't happening. And so I can talk about why this auction wasn't legal under the standards set up in that act. And on the other charge, that goes more into my intent at the time, because it's the false statement that they said that I made was when I signed the form. I used my real name and address, but there was something in there that said I commit to that these are in good faith bids or something like that in that form. But at that time, I really had no intent to bid. It hadn't really crossed my mind yet that that was a realistic option. So, you know, I'm certainly not claiming that I didn't do this, and that'll be clear. You know, I've told this story hundreds of times. They have plenty of times of me on tape saying that this is exactly what I did, which is why it's an extreme long shot that I would actually be acquitted. So it's most likely that I would be convicted.
Question.
Tim, just not to change the subject too much, but could you comment on the statements by Governor Herbert that he's going to have Utah resist federal law and resist the authority of the federal government in our state, in his State of the State address? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, good question.
I'm not sure which statement you mean, actually. I don't listen to many speeches by Governor Herbert. But if he's announcing that, then I think it's time for a citizen's arrest.
I just have a quick comment, Tim. Coming from the government regulation side of things, I just really hope that people understand how much sacrifice and courage you have to do this. And I just want you to know, speaking for myself, not for my agency, how much I really respect and commend what you're doing, because what you're doing is absolutely critical to what's going on. Without your actions, you don't necessarily have a dialogue because nothing's getting forced to be put on the table. So I think what you're doing is tremendous, and I hope that people really understand what a great sacrifice is. Thank you very much.
Other questions?
Are you nervous?
Yes. But I've had lots and lots of time to prepare. And so I think it's something that I'm certainly ready for. I think it was something that I was ready for at the time as well. You know, I spent a long time before this building up kind of the mental preparation to take this level of action, not knowing what that might look like. And so I kind of made that commitment that I was ready to go to prison for this beforehand. And I think still am. And I've had some great opportunities over the last couple of years to learn more about that. I'm not sure if it was true 2 years ago. I think it's probably more close to true now. I've talked to folks like David Harris, who was an activist in the 70s that went to jail for 2 years for draft resistance. He was the one that was married to Joan Baez. And he gave me a lot of good advice about doing the time. And he didn't sugarcoat it, but talk to me about how to mentally prepare for that.